Today, I want to work with um, shaping the breath. I've been talking a lot about that, and I'm sure I'm inspired by reading Jane Esther's book on breath, how important it is, and how, I mean, not just for our emotional health, certainly it calms me down and it energizes me and it sort of sets everything right. It's like a reset. It's like I'm a person that I had a friend who would say at night, would do the dishes, and he would say, let's reset to zero. Like he like me, did not like to go to bed with stuff in the sink. And so I always talk about that reset to zero. And that always felt good, to just another chance to reset. So the breath does that. It helps, as I've often said, it activates our parasympathetic nervous system. And that, of course, calms us down and makes us tend not to rip the heads off of people we love and animals we love. Don't talk to me about animals yet, but more sagas with the cat walking. But at any rate, later. Later, yes, I know I did. Absolutely. But it physically, and in this book, he talks about, there have been studies, and he did it himself, that the more you shape and work with the breath, and the more you get down to breathing fewer breaths per minute, more regularly, not all the time, certainly if you're huffing up the stairs with the load of laundry, or you're chasing the cat around the damn block for an hour, you will, he slipped his harness. Yeah, I wasn't paying attention. I was talking to Captain Jerry, and I just all of a sudden held this leash. It was like, oh crap. I mean, he came back, but he came back to the clicker, I'll have you know. I went out there finally. I thought, well, he was kind of ready to come in anyway. The clicker, and I clicked with the little long thing on it, and I had his high value treats, and he just came right over. But I think he was ready. I don't think he would have done that a half an hour earlier. And of course, I have to add this. He'd been out an hour, a full hour. He comes in to use the litter box.
Not a bad thing. That way he won't want to go outside and do running.
I know, but I just thought, anyway. So I then had to do some deep breathing after that, because I was kind of I'd had a bit of an hour. But the more we can practice slowing the breath down. So all of these techniques that I go over in class are just other techniques. And there's lots of different techniques, and certainly share with me your favorite ones that help you slow down, and ways that I don't know, I don't want to say trick the mind, but ways that help me get out of my own way, because I start to run my soap operas in my head if I don't have something to take the place of that little narrative. So, but it reduces your blood pressure to calm and shape the breath. It reduces all the kinds of things related to blood pressure, but it has physical value, not just emotional value. But we know that once our blood pressure goes back to normal, the parasympathetic nervous system clicks in. So it's all tied and related. So this sequence is borrowed and adapted from a sequence that I did with Rod Stryker many, many years ago. And he is another Tantra teacher, Stryker, and he has classes, I think, on Yoga International. So I'd say he's another interesting Tantra with a different way of teaching. He's kind of halfway in between Todd and Ashaya Yoga and Gary Kraftstyle and Vinny Yoga. There's a lot of shared, I see a lot of shared things, and he has his own path that he's taken. But it's all of a family. It's all in keeping and all helpful. So the sort of calm, clear, stable. So the 1-to-1 ratio breath that we work, the same inhale, box breath is a 1-to-1 ratio breath, inhaling for the same, exhaling for the same counts as a 1-to-1 ratio breath. That increases stability, both kind of emotional stability, but also physical stability. So we'll play with that today. And then the 1-to-2 ratio breath increases, it calms you down, but I think of it as it increases my speed. So when I feel this kind of crazy, I don't feel free. I actually feel like a bird in a too small cage, kind of thrashing my wings out. So when I get calm and I activate the parasympathetic nervous system, I feel free. easy free, just not like free at last, we're out of school kind of a thing, but just easy free. So we will work these poses, and I'm glad it's you guys today because it's very different, and it's kind of some different stuff. We'll still use the same alignment essentials, but there's a little bit of different stuff going on into it. So take a good seat. Inner thighs move down towards the floor and wide apart so you can roll to the frontmost and innermost edge of the sits bones. That allows you to get a nice natural low back curve. The tendency here when we roll too far, I'll turn to the side, is to tilt forward. I did this for years until the teacher just took me back like this and I went, oh, and I wasn't on blankets. And then I realized I got to get on blankets because I was like straining forward. So you line up here, and that's a sense of ease. Here's a sense of anticipation. This is a sense of ease. The opposite of that, then on the other side, is the slumpy dumpy that I call, and that's a sense of just, I don't care, just, so we want to be right in that beautiful place in the middle, the hardest place to walk, the hardest place to stay. And yet just being there, finding that place where you're stacking bone on bone, joint on joint. There's an easefulness. And as you bring your awareness to your breath, just notice it for now. We'll shape it in a minute. Just notice what's going on with your breath, how it's moving, where it's moving. And begin the box breath. So that's inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. All right, you people have to stop. Just turn it off, sorry. And it's a very light hold. It's not a hard, forceful hold. And how slow or fast you count really depends on how relaxed you are. What I have found is that if I've been doing a lot, running around, thinking kind of crazy things, I can barely do 2, 2, 2, and 2, or a very fast 4. And then slowly, as I relax, as the muscles relax, the 4 gets a little longer, a little lazier, a little more easeful. If you try to force it, nothing good will happen. So no one knows your numbers. So it's like put the little judge away as to whether you're doing it right. You're doing it right when you begin to feel stable. So we are in a pyramid here. If you're sitting, even if you're sitting in hero pose on your heels, you're essentially creating a pyramidal shape. And that's a very stable shape. It's a broader base to the narrower head. Stability gives us an anchor to weather change, and God knows there's a lot of change going on out there now. And do this, if you haven't already, engage the Ujjayi breath where you constrict the back of the throat slightly. You hear the breath going in and out. It's a little bit of resistance in the back of the throat. And then once the box breath, 4x4 breath, feels just natural and easeful. And slowly invite a longer exhale. Start maybe with 5 or 6, eventually work up to 8. If the exhale goes longer, let it go. Just notice. It's gradual though. Slowly, easefully extend the exhale. This may begin to impact your hold at the bottom and the top. So if you start to feel a little oxygen starved by holding, then shorten the hold to 2 at the bottom and the top. Just play with it. I love, Rod Stryker says, and I use this a lot, it's harder to shape the breath in the body. But I also think of shaping, I love working in clay. I've not done it in a lot of years, but I love working in ceramics and clay. And I just love that physical feel. It's why I liked making bread. It was the tactile, physical feel of moving that, warming it up, making it more pliable. And it's the same thing with your breath. You're starting with a cold lump of clay, and it takes time to warm it up so that it will move under your fingers as you wish. And like the breath, like clay, it's a conversation. I can't force clay. I can't force my breath. It's a conversation. It's a back and forth. And the next time you exhale, don't hurry. Take your time to move back to the exhale. Go back to normal breathing and just notice. A sense of easefulness. In the beginning, when I notice my breath, it's, I don't know, full of nuts and bolts or spikes and nails or something. It just is, it feels like too hard a task sometimes. And then after I've warmed it up, the easeful breath at the end of this string of pranayama feels so lovely, so sweet, easy. On your next exhale, bring your hands together in front of your heart center. We'll chant one soft Om. Inhale. Next exhale, release the hands. Flutter the eyes open. Oh, come to standing. We'll start standing today. Oh, huh? Oh, I know, right? Super crazy. All right. Take a wide stance. You can face to the middle, Jill. Wide stance. Turn your right toes out. Back foot, turn it in slightly, or at least a little past the outer edge parallel with the mat. If it turns out, it outer rotates the back leg. So we want to inner rotate the back leg. Then while there is both inner rotation in the inner thighs moving back, the front leg now, the turned out leg, your right leg, is more outer rotated, even though you're still keeping that sense of thighs in, back, and apart. So turn to face the right foot, the back toes can turn in even more. The left leg is back, the left arm is up, the right hand rests on the sacrum. So inhale, press down from the core of the pelvis and rise up through the fingertips. Exhale, legs stay straight, and you hinge from the hips only as far as you can without breaking. You can feel the low back break, so you stretch forward. And inhale, the front knee bends and you come back up. Exhale, straighten. Then you begin again. So it's inhale up, I'll just go quickly over it. Exhale, hinge forward. Inhale, a warrior one with one arm up. Exhale, straighten. Inhale, begin again. So do this with a 1-to-1 ratio breath. So watch even if it's just 2 and 2 and 2, because as you do it more and more, you will get a little breathy, but move it to 2 and 2, 3 and 3, 4 and 4, it matters not. All right, inhale, rise up, exhale. See if you can move it to 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, press down, rise up. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, warrior 1, 3, 4. Exhale, straighten, 3, 4. Inhale, rise up, press down, and exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, rise up one more time. Inhale, press down, rise up, and exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. And inhale, release. Turn to the side, step in. Ooh, a little different. Yep. Now turn your left toes out. Back toes turn in a bit, walking Egyptian, but not on a tightrope. Widen it up if you're feeling unstable. The back leg, your right leg, the right arm goes up. Left hand on the sacrum. That helps you. Now, I like to spread my hand because as I tilt forward, then I can feel myself pull away from it. And in the tilt, it might just go here, because if I start to go here, you can feel it pull away. So only go as far as you can keep the length. Oh, cleansing breath. Inhale, press down to rise up. 3, 4, exhale, stretch forward. 3, 4. Inhale, warrior 1, 3, 4. Exhale, straighten. 3, 4. Inhale, rise up. 3, 4. Exhale, stretch it out. 3, 4. Inhale, warrior. 3, 4. Exhale, lift. 3, 4. Inhale, press down, rise up, and exhale. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Inhale, recommit, lengthen and strengthen, and exhale. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. One more time. Inhale, rise up, press down, and exhale. Draw your left hip crease back. 4, and inhale. Rise up. 4, and inhale. 2, 3, 4, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, and release. So I don't know about you, but that creates a bit of heat and some work, but the steadiness of the mind, having to really think about the breath and the movement. We use the breath and the movement a lot, but this is just a tighter awareness of it. All right, here's where you may want a block or 2 in front of you. Take a wide stance again, feet parallel, and come up, hands on your hips. So inhale forward, so we'll inhale forward, and then exhale while we're here. I'm sorry, inhale up, exhale forward, and inhale up. We'll do that a few times. And then let me just say, then we'll pause here, so you can come here on the forward, here or here, wherever the arms want to go.
No matter where your back is.
Again, we want to keep that elongated back. So while I can keep it here, as soon as I start to go here, you do have to curl, but it's more, not as deep as you can go, perhaps. More work. And again, with the legs, lift all 10 toes, connect with the 4 corners of the feet, particularly the outer edges here, and hug to the midline. Because as we come up and down, you'll be pressing out as you come up, you'll press out and inhale a little more, hugging in, but keep the hug in as much as you take it out. All right. Inhale, hands on the hips. And we'll do this in a 1-to-1 ratio. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, forward, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, up, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, forward. So do it at your own pace, just 4 counts down, 4 counts up. About 2 more times. The next time you come up, pause there. So this time what we'll do is use box breath. So as you exhale for 4 counts, hold the exhale out as you're down, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then inhale as you move, hold the exhale for 4. So you can do this at your own pace. If you feel like adding arms, rock on, but it's mainly working the legs here, keeping them strong so the upper body can be free. And take a big inhale, exhale, cleansing breath. And begin, box breath. Exhale, 4. And hold. Inhale, press up. And hold. Do it by your own counts 3 more times. And your next exhale, just let it be easy. Walk your feet in and come down. All right. So this one, we'll do chair pose. And do an easy chair pose. And you can also do it against the wall so the knees don't come forward of the ankles. But we'll hold it for a cycle of 5 1-to-2 ratio breaths. So this is particularly challenging because you're in a challenging pose. You'll start to work up a little more heat and keeping the exhale longer. So it might just be a 1 to 1.5 ratio breath. You might not make 3 in, 6 out, or 4 in, 8 out, but just extend the exhale a little bit longer. Take a breath. Inhale, chair pose. Shift your weight back towards your heels, 4 counts, and hold 1-to-2 ratio breath. Whether you hold at the top and the bottom of the breath, it's really up to you. You're still working, hugging an imaginary block between the shins, inner thighs moving back, tailbone down. Keep the breath flowing, a 1-to-2 ratio breath. If you need to come up, you come up, or you just come up a tiny bit. But zip xiphoid to tailbone so you don't take this in the low back. After your next exhale, inhale to standing. Shake off. All right. So the next one is a forward bend, and you can do half forward bend or half forward bend this way on a chair, on a block, on a wall, anywhere. Dr. Seuss, Sherry, help. Or come into your deepest, fullest forward bend. Oh. And the breath work will be the 1-to-2 ratio breath for 5 rounds. So inhale for 2, out for 4, and it may change during the 5 rounds. Whether you want to pause, I would say just pause at the top and the bottom. Don't try to retain. It's a little hard. You can play with it, but that may just cause you to pass out. So it's more just like a breath. I mean, just like before you come in. So inhale, rise up. Exhale, bow forward, your forward bend. And then begin your first round. Inhale, and then longer exhale. You may find in the full forward bend, you have to open it a little bit to find enough breath. Once you've done your 5th round, or what you think might be your 5th round, slowly inhale your way up. Forward bends calm the nervous system. All right. Just wait, Jill's got it really deep here. No, go. All right. No problem. I want to interrupt you. It's great. Come into a downward facing dog and do the same thing 5 rounds, but a 1-to-1 ratio. You can try the box breath in terms of holding at the top, or maybe it's just a pause at the top. But if you're going in for 3, out for 3, in for 4, out for 4, in downward facing dog. To take a good dog, take some time to get set. You can build it up from knees. And so, Mary, this would be half dog or wall dog, or, yeah, you got it going on. Set your foundation with your hands. Lift up, the knees can stay bent. If you wish, the back is long, inner armpits moving up and out, away from the neck, as the heart's moving back towards the feet. Then start your rounds of breath. 5 rounds of 1-to-1 ratio breath. And once you've finished your 5 rounds, come down into child's pose. Knees apart, toes together, forehead can rest on a block or the floor, arms at your side to round the upper back a bit. Just stretch, and we'll wait as everyone joins us in child's pose. Take your time. And inhale your way to sit up. I recommend a little knee padding on this one. So what we'll do is an inhale is up, and exhale, you're just hinging back, not collapsing back, but just hinging back. And it doesn't have to go far before you feel it. If you're feeling some knee strain, try putting a block anyway between the knees so you remember the hug. In fact, that's nice. You can do this with the toes untucked. I just find it harder to engage the legs. So as we're going back, if the legs are sloppy, the chances of me going into the low back are high. So either toes tucked or untucked, your choice. You're hugging into the block, or imaginary or real block. Inner thighs go back and apart. Tailbone lengthens and connects with xiphoid. So it's a big core piece here, back core and front core. And the arms can be up. This is a little harder, or you can keep them here. If they're up here, plug the head of the arm bones in, lift the heart. Inhale and exhale, back. Inhale, forward. And then begin, again, your 1-to-1 ratio breath, whatever counts you need, 3 and 3, 4 and 4, 5 and 5, 20 and 20. Let me know if that's working out for you. So it's exhale back, inhale upright. 5-ish rounds of that, whenever you think you've made about 5. And then release. Come to sit on your bum. I recommend a blanket or so under the bum and do a nice manual inner rotation. You can even slide almost off the blanket so the back of the thighs start to touch the floor, but the blanket serves to kind of lift the buttocks flesh up. So we're all calipigous. No junk in my trunk. I love my drawing teacher talks about calipigous. I love that word. It's beautiful buttocks. You know, and I'm telling you, beautiful buttocks are so much more fun to draw. One time we had this little skinny ass man in there. He had like a little shovel butt, a young guy. But it's like there was nothing to draw. It's like stick, figure. And we get some of these beautiful women in there. It's like, God, they got curves. I love it. All right, if you tend to hyperextend your legs, and lift the micro bend the knees a bit, pull the heels back. So in Janushir Shasana, I always can't say that fast, bend one knee up, and it's like almost a tree pose. You can be all the way up in the inner thigh. Here you can be on the knee because you're not putting any sideways pressure on the knee. Just standing, you don't want to be there. Or the foot can be down on the calf. It depends. So Eileen, I know one of your knees doesn't like to bend so much. Can it be way down by the ankle? It doesn't matter where. This is volume control. So you decide where this goes. And then let me pull the straight leg back. Flex the straight leg and then lift up. So your fingertips are either slightly in front or slightly in back to lift up. And the exhale, we'll just come into it, then breathe into it and hold for about 90 seconds. All right, so take a breath. This leg is strong. If you keep locking it, slide a little blanket under there so you don't worry about that. Tilt forward, and the back is long, but if you can reach the foot, you're working for an extended spine, but it might round a little bit. That's okay. And breathe. Again, forward bends. They can be intense, specifically seated forward bends, but it calms the nervous system. If you're feeling this in the low back, you just use the legs a little bit more. And you don't have to go to your max to hold this for 90 seconds. In fact, if you go to your max and you're not able to sustain it, back it up a little bit. So you've got 30 seconds left. Still connect xiphoid to tailbone. And breathe. 1-to-1 ratio breath. And as you're releasing, you begin to taste the stillness. And inhale your way up. Stretch the legs out long. And change to side B. The foot may be in a different position on this side. The knee goes as far out to the side as you can take it, but that just depends on your knee. All right, take a big inhale and exhale, stretch forward. Baby toe side of the straight leg foot is moving back to your outer hip. Dig the heel into the earth and pull it back, inner thighs, and move to the floor. Tailbone lengthens and yearns for the xiphoid. Xiphoid returns that love. And notice the breath. So at least 1-to-1 ratio breath. If the exhale is a little longer, that's fine. But forward bends require patience and the time to stretch. If we rush them too much, they don't like it. About 25 more seconds. So you do just enough engagement of the legs to keep everything safe, but not more than that. No need to over effort here. And inhale your way up. Stretch both legs long. So we'll lie on the back. Before you get there, you can use a strap or not, but we really are just going to take the leg as far as it goes. And you can either do it with a straight leg or a bent leg. So I'll talk you through that. So first, lie on your back with the knees bent and just enjoy, the floor feels so good. And get a natural low back curve by moving the inner thighs towards your heels, tilting the sits bones towards the floor. And with the low back rising slightly away from the floor, or at least energetically, the tailbone is moving towards the heels, but slightly curves up and yearns for the xiphoid. The xiphoid pulls down towards the tailbone. Starts to reduce the low back curve just slightly, but not enough to flatten it, just enough to engage it. The robot arms snuggle the shoulder blades under the back. The arms can release to the side, or you can keep them in robot, whatever works for you. And just enjoy this moment on the back, noticing the breath. And stretch the arms out in a T position, shoulder height. Stretch the right leg long. Draw the left knee up and straighten it. And here's where you can use a strap, but it's a little more work. And the leg does not have to go straight up to the ceiling. It can come out a bit, but keep the xiphoid to tailbone. This leg, it's a little easier. Actually, my core does not have to work quite as hard with the legs straight up and down. But if the hips don't let you do that, then you move it down, but really work the core here. And then breathe. And on the exhale, okay, wait. Bend your knees, both knees again. Lift your hips, bump the hips over to the left. Now straighten the right leg. Lift the left leg. Exhale, roll the leg over towards the right. Keep both shoulder blades on the floor. Inhale, bring it back up to center. Exhale, Lower to the right. Inhale back to center. 1-to-1 ratio breath. You can slow it down or speed it up as you need to. You're exhaling as you're rolling over, inhaling as you're lifting up. Your straight leg is still working. It hasn't gone to sleep. It's not flopped out on the beach yet. It's still working. And then the next time you're over to the right, cross the body, pause there a moment, redouble your straight leg. And then on the inhale, outer rotate the left thigh, inner rotate the left thigh on the exhale. Inhale, outer, exhale, inner. From the hip socket, not so much, the foot follows, but the foot's not the one doing the movement. You're feeling the hip pull away on the outer rotation and the hip draw a little closer towards the ribs on the inner rotation. Back and forth. And then on your next inhale, come back to center, release, bump your hips back to the center, stretch the legs out, and just notice the difference between the two sides. Oh my gosh, I dropped a foot. All right, side B. First, bend your knees, get your low back curved, snuggle your shoulder blades underneath your back, bump your hips over to the right if your right leg is the one that's lifting up. Straighten the left leg, stretch the right leg up. So you have to use a little more work here. The strap does help, but I just have to use the core a little differently here. And then on your next exhale, take it over to the side. Doesn't have to go far. And then inhale back up, just as long as your breath. 1-to-1 ratio breath. Do it on your at your own pace. And the next time you lower it, then inhale as you turn it out. Exhale as you turn it in. 1-to-1. And the next inhale, bring it up. Lower the legs, bump the hips back to center, stretch the legs out. Hallelujah. Come into half happy baby pose. Huh? Full half. Oh, sorry. Yes, sorry. I said half and did full. So what'd you do? You can do half happy baby if that's easier, or full. Thank you, Jill. Jill could lean over and see me. You guys are, the other home guys are probably on the floor, not able to look up. Strain your neck. You can roll back and forth as a happy baby would do. Baby. And settle to the middle. And as you press the feet up into the hands or strap, or you can press the back of your thighs into your hands if you're not holding your feet, and see if you can get some remembrance of your low back curve by tilting your sits bones down towards the floor. And go deep, deep. Oh, a little loopy. All right, release. Windshield wiper the legs. And then for the bridge, we'll do the same thing with the breath. This time, do the 1-to-2 ratio breath where your exhale is at least a few counts longer than the inhale. Use robot arms. I just think it's easier to get my shoulder blades underneath me and gives me something to help push into. The inner thighs are moving back and wide apart. Tailbone lengthens into that space. And as you inhale, press into your feet and your upper arms, your elbows, and lift. Pause a beat, and when you're ready, the exhale is slower. And you can slow it down by doing the air out of the tire move where you just let the breath go through the teeth. Inhale. And the next time you come down, release and pause. And then this little move, I'm trying to figure out who taught me this, Sherry, Jill, or Mary? Jill, yes. With both knees bent, a little bit, a tiny bit wider than hip width apart. Bend your right knee and lower the right knee towards the floor. Now it can come out, but you're moving the knee down towards the short edge of the mat. So you feel a little bit of stretch across the top of the thigh. I love this. I love finding a new favorite stretch. You're welcome with the left hand to hold on to the right foot if you want to, but I don't think it necessarily does anything to increase the stretch. What increases the stretch for me is to lengthen the tailbone a lot. Then I feel it a lot across the front of the hip flexor, the front of the thigh. And stretch the knee towards the short edge of the mat and even engage the outer knee. I don't know, stretch the outer knee towards the floor. Most of us mere mortals will not get it there. I think, you know, I don't know, some people who might be almost too flexible in the hip could get it there, but you're feeling a good stretch across the top of the knee. I love, love, love. Yeah, and Jill reminded me, the lower ribs, side ribs, moving towards the floor without squashing your low back. Oh yeah, that really increases the stretch, doesn't it? All right, well, let's experiment with that. Try pulling the left knee up. You can either hold behind the calf or top of the shin. Keep stretching out through the right knee. If this strains at any point, place the left foot down. That's pretty nice. Mm-hmm. But the right knee is not completely relaxed. You're still engaging it. You're keeping the low back curve. Sits bones are moving towards the floor, and the xiphoid ribs, all that stuff. And all that stuff. I'm being highly technical and nuanced in my instruction. Keeping that, keep breathing. Mm-hmm. So I like the thing about this is if the knee hurts, you just open the knee. It doesn't have to bend back so far. Eileen, I hope you're getting some stretch from this because I know I don't know if this is, I can't remember if this is your bad knee side. Oh, and stretch it out long. Ah, that's quite nice. All right, side B. So you just bend the left knee underneath you. as far as it will go. Also helps to work the foot of the bent knee as well, the left knee. And just pause here for a moment, get your natural low back curve, and then the inner thighs are still moving towards the floor. Tailbone lengthens. Xiphoid to tailbone, bottom ribs and side ribs move towards the floor. As still got a little bit of air in the back waist, right in the center of the spine. And stretch the left knee towards the short edge of the mat and energetically press the outer left knee towards the earth. And then, of course, that makes my ribs pop up, so we start again, like playing whack-a-mole. And we'll breathe here. Finding your stretch, enough engagement, but a lot of ease as well. The neck? Yes, Jill suggested, I love it. Thank you, Jill. Make sure you're not doing this in your neck and jaw and the upper shoulders, they can get in the act. So just get really lazy. Those are on vacation. Just let them flop down. If you haven't already and you want to add the lifted right knee, keep protecting the low back curve. What will happen here is we'll tend to release the low back curve. So keep pressing, and if you press the right shin into the hands, that helps you keep the low back curve. And slowly release. Draw both knees in. Do a second full happy baby. And maybe even straighten the legs or move towards straightish. Low back curve has to give up there if you're holding onto the feet. And then any moves you want to do before final relaxation. And again, you can come into supported fish. With the blocks under your back of your heart and your head, or on your legs up the wall or over a chair, couch for an inversion. And settle in. No problem. Begin to deepen your breath. Wiggle, starting with the fingers and the toes, and work up through the body. Feel your stretching and moving. Gradually draw your knees in. Roll to your side and rest there. Taking a few precious moments to draw in, just be fully in this moment. And rolling a little more towards the floor, use the strength of your arms to press up to a seated position. And sit well. And scan your body, mind, spirit. Just noticing. So shaping and managing the breath offers us an opportunity to create the possibility of a life based on choice rather than on running the inherited hamster wheel. As Glennon Doyle would put it, we can choose the language of imagination rather than the language of indoctrination. Drawing your palms together in front of your heart center. Namaste. Thank you, guys.